Internationally known and now a household name, Calvin Klein is probably most known for jeans and perfumes. It didn't start like this, and the company now sells a variety of products, including belts, shoes, towels, or accessories like wallets and sunglasses, in every style and color. Still, it didn't start like this. Richard Calvin Klein was born November the 19th, 1942 in the Bronx, New York, where he lived most of his childhood. His mother and father, Flo and Leo Stern, his original name, raised him and his two brothers. He was the middle child in a 3-kids family with his mother Flo and Leo Stern as parents. Stern was his original name. His grandmother was a seamstress and inspired him to sew, and his mother encouraged his love for art and design, allowing him to attend the High School of Art and Design, which prepared students for careers in design and advertising. While others his age were playing sports, he was busy studying, sewing, sketching fashion designs. After graduating, he moved on to the esteemed Fashion Institute of Technology, graduated there in 1962. He got his fine arts degree in 1963 and began a job in a dressmaking company where he spent the next 5 years as an apprentice, working long hours, 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, designing coats and suits in a 7th Avenue, New York City fashion store. He perfected his own designs there, but he left after his boss refused to give him a pay raise. The first order he got was actually by accident. A coat buyer from Bonwit Teller, a large New York City clothing store, got off on the wrong store of the hotel where he was working and entered his workshop. He got a $50,000 order for clothing, which was a lot of money in the 60s, and in 1968, Calvin Richard Klein and his childhood friend Barry Schwartz created a Calvin Klein coat business with just $10,000. When he opened his own company, the New York fashion industry was in a depressed period, with casual hippie-style clothing, the miniskirt defining the range of fashions, including for boys. Klein started to provide simple, understated clothing. He started with suits and coats, but gradually placed more emphasis on sportswear, especially interchangeable separates, a blouse that works with more than just one outfit, a coat that works with more than just one pair of pants, and so on and so forth. Since the shop was situated in a New York hotel, his coats and designs were being viewed by thousands of people. They were simple yet fashionable and targeted a younger crowd. In just 1 year, but years of work and thousands of hours of perfecting his craft, Calvin Klein appeared on Vogue magazine. By this point, Calvin Richard Klein had quite a history in fashion and design. Encouraged by good reviews by the fashion press and the support of store executives, Klein expanded his line to include women's sportswear. Soon he would include couture, a Calvin Klein collection for men and women, CK sportswear for men and women, and CK jeans. He also licensed agreements with other companies to produce clothes under his name: furs, eyewear, socks, fragrances, underwear, all under his careful control and management. He oversaw the products that were sold, but he didn't design them, he didn't actually choose the materials, he just cashed in. Jeans and perfumes were the two big hits, with a large following among consumers that was searching for an affordable way into getting the Calvin Klein look: jeans. In the first week after CK Jeans was launched, the company sold $250,000 worth in jeans. Perhaps more than his clothes, however, Klein became famous for his advertisements, some of which were very scandalous. One series of ads featured a teenage actress, Brooke Shields, modeling a pair of blue jeans and proclaiming that nothing comes between me and my Calvins. Wink wink, aka no underwear. And Klein's underwear advertising, with photographs by Herb Ritts, Bruce Weber, who also worked with Ralph Lauren and Abercrombie & Fitch, and models such as singer-actor Mark Wahlberg, helped position men as sex objects. Famous celebrities like Wahlberg and Shields skyrocketed after modeling for Calvin Klein. Advertising was the key to his success. He kept the media talking about him by creating controversy. He also was the first fashion designer to design women's underwear based on male boxer design. He was known for pushing the boundaries of acceptability in his campaigns. Ads from the 90s featured young teenager in provocative poses that many regarded as socially irresponsible. Klein eventually canceled these ads, but not before the publicity had made the Calvin Klein brand name a part of everyday conversation. Today's three major fragrances, Obsession, Eternity, and Escape, were huge successes due in part to sexually suggestive advertising, but ads for CK1, and CKB continued to challenge the public. Some showed teens taking part in an ideal drug culture. At this time, President Bill Clinton admonished the fashion industry not to glamorize addiction. Klein replied that these ads show a departure from phony airbrushed images that were not connected to the reality of today's world, but drugged teens are. There were also racy ads he commissioned to propel his brand's sales. Even though he cancelled the suggestive teens ads for his main clothing brand, the brands for perfumes continued using sexually suggestive images because sales were soaring. And despite the criticism, Klein clothing lines continued to receive praise over the years. He was the first designer to win 3 consecutive prestigious Coty Awards for women's wear, 1973, 74, and 75, and he was the youngest designer of ready-to-wear clothes ever elected to Coty Hall of Fame in 1975. By 1977, Calvin Klein reached an annual turnover of $30 million thanks to increased business and advertising, but also because now they were selling anything with the CK logo on them. Shoes, belts, sunglasses, gummy bears. The famous logo, which is Klein's name printed on the back pocket of the jeans, began at this point and started a trend which was continued ever since. This logo trend became something which was used not just for Calvin Klein jeans, but also for other brands which manufactured jeans. Towards the end of the 70s, Klein began to use his licenses to sell cosmetics and fragrances. These were not as popular as clothing and accessories, and the company suffered huge financial loss, causing them to withdraw all cosmetics and fragrances from the market, not returning for a few good years, concentrating on marketing the ever more popular jeans. The 80s were jeans years. They were becoming more popular in general among young people, and then is the time when Calvin Klein introduced underwear for men and women. In the first year of sales, this new line of underwear brought to the company almost $100 million. And they were advertised heavily throughout the 90s on large billboards and other ads. At the time, Marky Mark in the Funky Bunch was a popular singer and became the face of men's underwear. And in 1982-1983, Calvin Klein underwear became known as Calvin's. In 1986, he won the Council of Fashion Designers of America Award. And in total, until the 90s, there were more than 12,000 stores which sold Calvin Klein clothing from the US to Ireland, Australia, and Japan. In 1993, Calvin Klein was named America's Best Designer. Still, by 1999, Calvin Klein put the company up for sale. LMVH, Tommy Hilfiger, and other companies were looking into buying the company, but for $1 billion, none was a taker. Finally, it was sold to Philips Van Heusen Corporation, but not for anything near $1 billion. Calvin Klein received $400 million in cash, $30 million in stocks, and $300 million over a 15 years period. At first, Calvin Klein kept his role as creative lead. Soon he decided to change to creative advisor. Eventually, he left altogether, and today, the man himself plays no part in the Calvin Klein brand. He's so far from Calvin Klein that he even started criticizing the company. Today, the face of Calvin Klein is Justin Bieber for men's underwear, Kendall Jenner for women's underwear, a decision that was criticized by Calvin Klein. He didn't like any of the choices. In spite of that, sales soared even more. CK ran a successful campaign in 2016 to represent all of its clothing simultaneously. The audience could get involved by sharing what they do in their Calvins. The campaign was influenced by Justin Bieber, Cameron Dallas, Kendall Jenner, Shawn Mendes. It rapidly took off on social media with people sharing their photos with the caption, "I blank in #MyCalvins." It was up to the audience to be creative and fill in the blank. Even though cosmetics and fragrances in the 70s were a huge disappointment, today they aren't. Even though they cancelled all of their edgy ads, the ones for fragrances they did not, for Obsession, Essence, and Eternity. Despite the numerous complaints against the ads, money were coming in. People were buying the perfumes. Calvin Klein described his design philosophy as the making of simple, comfortable, and stylish clothes, nothing overscale or extreme. His clothes were expensive, but classic, elegant, easy to wear, easy to understand by people. That's all. Tell me in the comment section below if you own a pair or anything by Calvin Klein. What do you do in your Calvins? Don't forget to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and I'll see you next time.